In this video, we're delving into the journey of humanity's best friend, an animal that has not only coexisted with humans for thousands of years, but also played a pivotal role in the development of human civilization. My name is Tom Ross, and here are 10 things you should know about dogs. The strong friendship between dogs and humans has lasted for many thousands of years. To be more precise, scientists believe that the first ancestors of domesticated dogs appeared between 30 to 40,000 years ago. It was then that, according to DNA research, the genetic separation of wolves from dogs occurred. Before this point, for thousands of years, some people lived with domesticated wolves, and our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, meaning they lived in small groups, constantly moved around, and ate what they could catch or find. But how did wild wolves, fierce predators, become domesticated animals for humans? Wolves hunt in packs. They're aggressive but at the same time skittish and cautious. Wild wolves competed with humans for territory and prey. But wolves preferred to stay away from humans because they knew that humans were also pack hunters and could stand up for themselves. But then, some wolves realized that human camps and settlements were a good source of food. After all, humans hunted, consumed animal meat and then discarded bones somewhere near the camp. This was easy prey, so some wolves that were less fearful began to approach human camps to feed on these leftovers. These wolves, by the way, could be those individuals who'd been expelled from the wolf pack, unable to hunt alone, and for them, humans became their only chance of survival. These wolves that began to approach humans were less aggressive, less fearful, and more social. Over time, these wolves started to live and breed near the settlements of ancient humans on a permanent basis. Friendly wolves passed their friendly genes onto their offspring, who became even more accustomed to humans and approached them even closer. They may have even guarded human camps from various predators. It was a mutually beneficial cooperation. Over time, proto-dogs emerged, the ancestors of dogs that were not yet dogs, but were no longer wild wolves. They began to live side by side with humans. Specific parental genes don't always pass on to offspring, so it happens that some puppies of these domesticated wolves were aggressive towards humans. Such puppies were simply killed, leaving only those who were kind and friendly to humans. In this way, aggression genes in the ancestors of dogs gradually disappeared from the population, resulting in increasingly friendly dogs. These animals became indispensable helpers to humans. Thanks to their sense of smell, dogs helped humans track and find prey. They helped corner and kill it. Dogs also became a living alarm system for humans. The thing is that in those ancient times, when a tribe of humans went to sleep, there was always a need to keep one person awake as a guard, who didn't sleep and protected the camp from predators or other human tribes. This was difficult work, but when dogs appeared, life became much easier. Dogs sleep lightly, have sharp hearing and an amazing sense of smell. They would wake up when they heard danger approaching, start barking, and thus alert the entire camp. This greatly simplified life for ancient humans. The alliance with humans also made life easier for these tamed wolves. After all, humans provided them with protection and a stable food source. A tribe of humans with the support of domesticated wolves hunted very effectively. An emotional bond between humans and wolves also formed, with people loving them as family members even in ancient times. Archaeologists have found numerous burials where domesticated wolves and dogs were laid to rest with honors and funeral ceremonies, providing clear evidence of this. After that, people began to lead a settled lifestyle and engage in agriculture. Wild wolves can only eat meat, but dogs can eat plant-based food. This happens because ancient dogs had to adapt to the new lifestyle of humans and their new diet. Those dog ancestors whose bodies couldn't digest various cereals and plant products stopped reproducing, giving way to those dogs that, thanks to genetic mutations, had the ability to assimilate plant-based food, which humans fed them. Thus, dogs gradually turned into omnivorous beings. They began to live in human homes and guard them. The dog likely became the first domesticated animal of humans. It also became the first and so far the only domesticated large predator. But where did so many dog breeds come from? How did the big gray wolf turn into a chihuahua or a pug? And why are all these breeds still called dogs if they look like completely different biological species, hardly related to each other? All of this is the work of human hands, selective breeding or artificial selection. Long ago, our ancestors, without any knowledge of genetics or even heredity, kept the puppies they found most attractive and friendlier. They noticed that offspring often resembled their parents, so they began to breed only the dogs with qualities people wanted. For example, they crossed a large, brave dog with a furrier one to get a large, brave dog that handled the cold better, and so on. Over time, artificial selection changed dogs' appearance dramatically, and they became less and less like their wolf ancestors. This process was often cruel. Puppies without the right traits were simply killed. All this led to the huge number of dog breeds and to dogs that can be very different from each other. Today, there are more than 500 dog breeds, and some older breeds have completely disappeared. People also bred dogs for specific tasks. Dachshunds were bred to crawl into burrows and drive out rabbits, which hunters then killed. Terriers were bred to hunt mice and rats and were also used in small game hunting. Many kinds of hunting dogs appeared. Retrievers find a shot bird on land or in water and bring it back undamaged, while scenthounds track prey by following its smell. In the northern regions, dogs were bred as sled animals, to pull people and cargo. In medieval England, there were even dogs bred to run in a wheel that turned a roasting spit. It was hard work, so they worked in shifts. And that breed is now extinct. Indigenous peoples in what is now Oregon and Washington bred a special wool dog, whose coat was shorn and used to make blankets for religious purposes. But there is a downside to artificial selection. Many breeds suffer health problems because of their genetics. Bulldogs and pugs often have breathing issues due to their short, flat snouts. Very large breeds, such as Great Danes, often live only 5 or 6 years on average, which is very little for a dog. You get attached and then it's gone. But there are also genetically healthy dogs. For example, Chihuahuas are considered one of the healthier breeds despite their size and looks. Let's talk separately about shepherd dogs. Before researching this video, I knew almost nothing about them, beyond the name, and it turns out the topic is fascinating. In animal husbandry, there are two main working types. The first is livestock guardian dogs. They protect the herd on pasture from predators and from thieves. The second is dogs that manage the herd, moving animals from place to place and keeping them together. For simplicity, I'll call these shepherds. First, the guardians. People have used dogs to guard herds since ancient times. Without them, herds would often lose animals to wolves, bears, and other predators. A good team of guardian dogs can protect a grazing herd very effectively. These are usually large, powerful breeds capable of standing up to a wolf if they have to. As tiny puppies, they are placed directly with the stock, often sheep, so they grow up among them and bond to the herd. Their primary emotional attachment is not to the farmer, but to the animals. That's their home. Guardian behavior is strongly instinctive and passed down through breeding. So these dogs need little formal training. They simply grow up and start doing the job. Guardians often wear spiked collars to protect the neck, the most vulnerable target in a fight. When they scent or spot a wolf or bear, they rise and bark, forming a visible noisy barrier that usually drives predators off to look for easier prey. They don't seek fights and won't attack first. They engage only if the predator closes in. Typically, several dogs guard one herd, which makes dealing with a determined predator easier. If the herd is sold, the dogs are often sold with it, because they live with the animals from puppyhood and see themselves as part of the group. Because of that bond, they don't view the stock as prey. Even if hungry, they won't hunt the sheep. And when the farmer needs to slaughter an animal, it's done out of the dog's sight. Otherwise, they may rush in to save the sheep, goat, or cow they believe they are protecting. The second type is herding dogs, shepherds. Farmers and herders use them to move livestock in the right direction and keep the animals from scattering. These dogs are usually small or medium-sized, fast and very intelligent. The Border Collie is widely considered the smartest dog breed and is one of the most popular shepherd breeds. Herding dogs appeared in human history relatively recently, only about 600 years ago. People specifically bred dogs with a so-called shepherd instinct. This instinct is the dog's desire to gather animals, dogs, goats, sheep, cows, chickens, into one group and drive that group in a chosen direction. You may immediately ask, where does such a strange instinct come from in the first place? After all, it's not like running after a ball or giving a paw. It's a difficult task. It comes from the distant past, when dogs were still wolves. Wolves hunt in packs and often face herds of wild animals, such as deer or bison. Seeing wolves, these animals bunch up and run. To make a kill, the pack work together. Some wolves push and steer the herd toward others waiting in ambush. Then, they try to split one or several animals from the group and bring them down together. The shepherd instinct in herding dogs is the same hunting sequence, but with the last phases blocked. No attacking, killing, or eating. Herding dogs give free rein only to the first phases, gathering animals and directing them where the handler wants. If an animal breaks away, the dog overtakes it, steps in front, and scares it, so it turns back toward the flock. It will keep applying pressure until the animal goes in the right direction. Much of this instinct inherited genetically, but these dogs still need long, serious training to follow the handler's commands precisely. Unlike livestock guardian dogs, herding dogs are not raised inside the flock from puppyhood. They must see the flock as something to control, not as their family. Their style can be strict, more like overseers than companions. They growl, bark, and sometimes give light nips to enforce movement and spacing. Some herding dogs have a skill, a so-called strong eye, a hard, focused stare that moves animals without barking. There is also a technique called backing. When a dog needs to reach the other side of a tightly packed flock, it jumps onto the sheep and runs across their backs to get into position. Among working dogs, this is considered a high level of skill. Everyone knows that dogs have a much stronger sense of smell, but how do they actually perceive odors? We, humans, usually just notice that a smell exists, and only if it's strong enough. Dogs, however, can smell with their two nostrils separately, which helps them understand exactly where the scent is coming from. They can catch a certain smell and, by following the trail, find its source. Dogs have about 300 million special scent-detecting cells in the nose, while humans have only about 5 million. In a way, a dog's nose can go back in time. A dog can enter a room and smell who was there, roughly when, where they went, and what they did, like drinking tea or eating sausages. But it's not only about the nose. A dog's brain is organized differently. The area that processes smell is several times larger than in humans, which lets dogs detect incredibly tiny concentrations of smell molecules, down to the levels far below that we can notice. Dogs can also memorize far more variations of smells than we can. With training, dogs can sense certain diseases, because a sick person's smell changes, and dogs can detect that. Dogs can even sense when a woman is pregnant, sometimes very early, before she knows. Dogs have another amazing ability. They are very good at reading emotions, gestures, and body language. For example, if you point with your finger, even an untrained dog will understand that you are indicating something that needs attention. Most other animals must be taught this. Dogs also watch our eyes and follow our gaze, which helps them respond to commands and moods. Dogs even have a unique facial muscle that lifts the inner part of the eyebrow, creating a pleading look that makes the eyes appear larger. Scientists believe this is not a coincidence. That expression likely triggered pity in ancient people who fed those dogs and helped them survive, just as we do today. Wolves do not have this facial muscle in the same way. In the wild, the strongest usually survive, but for dogs, the key trait was different. The friendliest survived. Ancestors that were kindest to humans managed to befriend us and pass on their line. Dogs are so attached to people that the presence of their owner or family members can sharply reduce stress hormones in their blood. While cats often act like people are their servants, dogs tend to see their owners as their most precious companions and love us openly and unconditionally. There is also a trade-off. Through artificial selection, humans took over hunting and survival tasks, so some natural abilities faded. Many modern dogs, even large and formidable ones, would struggle to survive in the wild. There is a stereotype that dogs don't get along with cats. That isn't true. These two species can be friends, and I want to tell you about a dog that loved cats so much it started saving strays. It happened in New York in the late 80s. A Spanish-American man named Philip Gonzalez works in construction. He had an accident on a job site, was badly injured and could barely walk. He fell into a deep depression and didn't want to go on. His friends insisted he adopt a dog from a shelter, hoping it would bring some joy back into his life. Philip wanted a big, strong dog, but the shelter offered him a small mixed breed he didn't like at first. On one of their first evening walks, Ginny ran around the corner and came back carrying a small, injured kitten that was completely emaciated. Philip took the kitten home. A few days later, Ginny found another cat, this time an adult, also injured and bleeding. They took that one home too. After that, it kept happening. On walks, Ginny would find and retrieve cats in trouble, or point Philip to where a cat was hiding. Most were injured or starving. Philip kept some of the cats and found homes for others. He realized Ginny adored cats and had a special gift for finding the ones that needed help. Philip eventually organized a volunteer group. Every evening, he and Ginny went out into the streets of New York to look for cats and save them. At one point, Philip had more than 60 cats living in his home, most of them disabled, some without legs, some without tails, some without eyes, and some completely blind. Over the 12 years Ginny lived with Philip, she saved more than 1,000 cats. She found them in dumpsters, pipes, pits, anywhere a desperate cat might be. Ginny died in 2005. A charity named in her honor still exists today and continues to help stray cats. An essential trait of every dog is its bark. But did you know there is a breed that can't bark at all? It's called the Basenji. Because of the unique structure of its larynx, it doesn't bark, though it can still make other dog sounds like whining, howling, growling, and snorting. Let's watch a few videos of them. This is a very ancient breed. Basenjis were given to pharaohs in ancient Egypt, who valued them and believed they had protective powers. Mummified Basenjis have been found in several pharaohs' tombs, which shows how highly they were regarded. The breed's homeland is Africa, where indigenous peoples used them for hunting. Their inability to bark was an advantage, because it reduced the chance of scaring off prey. Some African tribes still use them for hunting today. In 1905, Basenjis were even shown in the Berlin Zoo as a rare curiosity, since a non-barking dog amazed visitors. The breed began to spread in the United States in 1937, though at first it was called the Congo Terrier, after the country they were imported from. People who don't want a barking dog at home often choose this breed. And besides not barking, Basenjis are also known for having little to no doggy odor, which is a plus for most owners. You've all seen bulldogs, those cute stocky dogs with short legs that snort and snore. But this breed has a fascinating, bloody and cruel history. The name bulldog comes from bull plus dog, and it isn't because they look like tiny bulls. In medieval England, there was a brutal sport called bull baiting. People would tie a bull to a tree, reportedly enrage it with ground black pepper, and then set bulldogs on it. The bulldogs of that time were taller and larger than today's, but they already had the powerful, short jaws needed to clamp onto a bull and hold fast. These dogs are the ancestors of modern bulldogs. The goal of this spectacle was to immobilize or even kill the bull using the dogs. It was entertainment. And some also believed that a bull killed by dogs yielded more tender, tastier meat than one slaughtered by a person. In the 19th century, as ideas about humane treatment of animals spread, public anger grew, and bull baiting was outlawed. Even so, the English continued to breed bulldogs, shaping the modern companion type, which is much smaller than its ancestors. Today you'll hear about English bulldogs and French bulldogs. The English bulldog is the larger of the two. Interestingly, the French bulldog was first developed in England, where small bulldogs were used as rat catchers and as lap dogs, especially popular with women. Later, they became fashionable in France among the wealthy, were formally registered there as a distinct breed and have been called French ever since, even though their original homeland is England. Everyone who has ever lost a beloved dog knows how hard it is. For many, it feels like losing a family member. Some people turn to science. In South Korea, several companies clone deceased pets, mainly dogs and cats, and the service cost around $100,000. On the website of the largest company, Soam Biotech, they even provide steps for when a pet has just died and you want to clone it. Rub the body in a damp towel and place it in a refrigerator. If that isn't possible, they advise removing a small piece of tissue, typically from the ear, refrigerating it, and contacting the company immediately for further instructions. This biological material is then used to obtain cells with the pet's DNA. Using that DNA, technicians create an embryo in the lab and implant it into a surrogate mother, a dog or a cat, depending on the species being cloned. The offspring is an exact genetic copy of the original animal. It isn't guaranteed to have the same personality though, because environment and experience also shape behavior, but it will look exactly the same. Pet cloning is controversial and faces criticism from animal rights organizations. Their main concerns are the risks and suffering for surrogate mothers and the fact that clones are more likely to have defects. By the way, sometimes a company produces a clone that turns out to be unhealthy. Then a second clone is made, which may also be defective. The dog is cloned again and again until a healthy puppy is born, the one sent to the customer, since obviously no one will ship a defective puppy for $100,000. Strange and expensive as it may seem, the service grows more popular each year and brings in significant revenue for these companies. Is it possible to repeat what our distant ancestors did? Tame a wolf and turn it into a pet? The answer is both yes and no. Going into the forest, finding a random wolf and trying to befriend it is extremely dangerous. Wolves live in packs and they may simply attack and kill you. A wolf cub is a different case. If you take a small cub from its mother and raise it at home, it will bond with its owner and lose its fear. But this is still very dangerous. Even a hand-raised wolf keeps powerful natural instincts. As it grows larger and stronger, the cub that once saw its human as the pack leader may decide to challenge for that role. Such a wolf can become aggressive towards its owner and may even kill him, even if it isn't hungry. And even if it never attacks the owner, a wolf raised by humans can be very dangerous to other people and animals. They may attack a dog or cat and kill it for no obvious reason. That's why keeping wolves and other large predators like crocodiles or tigers is illegal or tightly restricted in many countries. Some people do it anyway, but it's a bad idea. Our ancestors domesticated wolves gradually, over a very long time, and most likely many people and wolves died during this process. So modern humans should not try to befriend wolves. By the way, all dog breeds can interbreed, which is why they are considered one species. In some cases, dogs and wolves can interbreed as well. This can happen when a large, stray dog joins a wolf pack and is accepted. A dog-wolf hybrid is called a wolf dog. It is large and strong, and often less afraid of people. Wolf dogs can be smarter than typical dogs, but keeping them is also banned or heavily regulated in many countries, especially where wild wolves live. Today, I've got a question for you related to this video. Do you have a dog? If yes, what breed? Write your answers in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. My name is Tonras. Take care.